Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Guilty Gear Strive for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. This is the third time I've been talking about Guilty Gear Strive. Before now, the game has been officially released. I reviewed the first two open betas that allow for gamers to take part in the online competition and some slight single player action. Now, majority of what I said in terms of the gameplay when it came to those open beta reviews is still in effect here. Gamers will take control of characters who do not have the most plentiful move sets or special maneuvers in their arsenal, but can dish out a lot of damage if you can combo things or even trap opponents into said special maneuvers utilizing the mechanics that are provided to you. And there are a lot of mechanics when it comes to a Guilty Gear game, including Strive. A majority of those mechanics tie into the tension bar. The tension bar is located at the bottom of the screen parallel to the player's health bar. And as the player lands successful attacks, the tension bar fills up, and depending on how much tension you have, you can utilize things such as like a burst attack, which knocks back an opponent during a combo, or a Roman cancel that can actually slow down time for an opponent depending on which one you utilize. And you can really put in a plethora of attacks if you time it properly. You can also cancel the Roman cancel with a special maneuver to set up even more combo options. But the big thing when it comes to the gameplay is the characters themselves and how they are utilized. Certain characters work in certain ranges. For example, Saul Bad Guy is a mid-range to close-range fighter. He can keep opponents at a slight distance to set up more close-range, high-impact attacks, whereas someone like Axel Lowe is specifically long-range and likes to keep players on the outside with his gigantic chain hook. Combos also play into the only real new gameplay implementation to Strive, and that is the wall break feature. If you can press an opponent against one side of the stage and beat them enough and continuous effort, you can knock them through the wall for a stage transition that does a lot of damage. As noted in the betas, overall the gameplay is exceptionally fun, even when you're on the losing end of the spectrum, be it against the computer or online. And just like I said when it came to the beta, the online presentation is one of the most disappointing aspects of Guilty Gear Strive. Unlike other fighting games where you have a lobby system that's mostly utilized for player matches, the ranked system is tied in to the lobby system. Now, the biggest problem with this floor system, and really a lack of true ranking options, is the fact that there are times where you'll be going through the lobbies, finding fighters who are way above your weight class, but those are the only ones that are available on that floor, and will have to fight people that are so much better than you. Now, there is an open park that allows for players to play without worrying about what floor they're on. But once again, the same problem happens. You can go into a park and find a majority of the players way above your skill level and have no other option but to fight those players and get whooped and trounced time and time again. Of course, this gives you the opportunity to learn and do better, but it will be discouraging for those who want to go into the online realm and discover that they have nobody to play with that is on their level. From a single player aspect, Guilty Gear Strive does something very interesting that I did not expect, and that is the presentation of story mode. Story mode, unlike any other fighting game I've ever seen, is fully animated and unplayable. Literally, all you do is watch cinematics time and time again. There are no fights, there are no interruptions, other than the ability to save after you watch essentially an episode of this movie, and that's it. That is story mode. For those who are into the Guilty Gear lore, this is fantastic. But for those who kind of look at story mode as a way to test out different characters, see who feels good to them without going into the practice or dojo or just playing single player, this will not work for you. But thankfully, from a single player aspect, there is a lot to do in terms of preparing yourself and figuring out who could be your main character you're going to play with. Because there is the dojo that allows for the players to learn the basics and the advanced techniques of Guilty Gear Strive. There's also the ability to learn combos in the dojo. There's also the ability to learn different characters as opponents, which is very interesting. They showcase matchups from a single player aspect as well. There's the arcade mode, which of course is just a typical ladder mode. You have the ability to play against friends both locally and online. Technically, the game once again looks absolutely gorgeous. One of the big things that was a problem in the beta, the original beta, the first beta I should say, was the slowing down when you did a counter. It's still there, but it's not as profound and long-winded as it was in the first open beta. So that's a lot better, and it doesn't take away from the flow of a fight. I haven't had any hard crashes or real big issues. The biggest problem really has to once again do with online. It takes a long time, a ridiculously long time for the game to communicate with the server so you can even start playing. And then to top it off, you will have some laggy fights. I've had some ridiculously laggy fights in the past where the fight will be doing perfectly fine in the first round, and then the second round it will just dog out. I don't know what happens, and the opponent apparently doesn't recognize it either, even with the rollback netcode. Overall, Guilty Gear Strive, just like I said when it came to the open betas, is a fun game, mostly thanks to the gameplay itself. Even when you're getting beaten, it's still a harrowing, exuberant, and really intense experience. But when you get into a groove, when you find that main character that you really feel comfortable with, it makes the game just that much more enjoyable, even if you're getting beaten once again. But when it comes to single player modes, when it comes to just the overall narrative presentation, if you want to really enjoy yourself offline, there's not really that much to do. If you've enjoyed the previous Guilty Gear games, even though it's a lot different compared to those, like lacking the instant kill feature that was in the previous Guilty Gear games, if you've enjoyed what you played when you played the open betas, this is perfect, this is great, this is fantastic. But just be prepared to get beat a lot online, and just be prepared to sit around for quite a while as the game tries to connect with the servers. But if you're not a hardcore fighting game fanatic, if you really don't want to delve into deep gameplay mechanics, or even try to find a main that you can feel will really carry you to victory, and you just want to play around and have fun, really this isn't the fighting game for you. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. Guilty Gear Strive for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. Now if you don't mind, the servers have actually allowed me to get into the game. I'm going to see if I can get into a lobby and maybe fight some people. And if I can, I'm going to finish them like only a bad guy can and make them say, "Oh Lordy."